Hello everyone, I am Dr. Anuba and with us today we have Dr. Harini Sridharan, Consultant Pediatrician and Neonatologist at Narayana Health City, Bangalore. Welcome ma'am.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Parents of newborns are generally very anxious about the proper care to be provided to their newborns, like what must be done, what to be avoided, and what is the right thing that has to be done on a routine basis. And with this approaching summer, they have a variety of doubts and questions coming up regarding proper care of the newborn. So in this session today, Dr. Harini, an expert in neonatologist, will address regarding the common doubts and myths regarding this topic.
Yeah, hello everyone. So these are some routine doubts we commonly have regarding our children, and I would be happy to help you out regarding them today.
Ma'am, one of the most common doubts that mothers of newborn ask is that whether we should schedule the feeding of the babies or we should feed the babies on demand.
Yeah, so sometimes this is not a blanket rule for all the babies or for all mothers. At times, if the baby is especially a preterm baby, or it's a low birth weight baby, or if it's a baby which has had weight loss and jaundice, then it may need to be important to quasi-schedule the baby's feeds. That is, make sure that they are fed on a regular basis. Otherwise, in all other aspects, if the child is quite healthy, then we should feed the baby on demand. That is, if the baby keeps on crying multiple times a day, then it is okay to go ahead and feed your baby, as long as your baby is passing enough urine, having good motion output, and the baby is gaining adequate weight. Now, this weight gain, of course, has to be estimated in conjunction with your visits to the doctors. So depending on the baby, there's no one size which fits all. Depending on the baby, the condition of the baby, the weight of the baby, we may either need to schedule the feed or feed the baby on demand. Even in terms of scheduling, it may need not be too early. It can be according to the baby's demand.
In this summer season, like apart from feeding, do we need to give any extra water to the baby?
Yeah, that's a very good question. As we know that we are approaching the month of summer, it's getting very, very hot day by day. So we generally feel that no, the child will be thirstier and the child is only drinking milk. Is it going to be enough? Yes, the breast milk is enough for all babies. As we all know, breast milk is 80% made up of water. So it is enough for both the thirst and the hunger of the baby, and we do not need to give extra water to the baby. If we give extra water to the baby, we will be diluting the baby's blood, and we will be creating an imbalance of salt and other electrolytes in the baby. So breast milk, which has a perfect balance of salt and water and other electrolytes, is all that is essential for the babies. Also, there's a common misconception that if the child has too many hiccups, we need to feed the baby extra water. That is also not required for the baby.
Thank you, ma'am. And another query that we generally get is that does the baby need to pass stools every day?
Yeah, see, in the initial period when the baby is just born, feed and passage of motions immediately after the feed is a very good indicator that the baby is getting adequate feeds. Especially in the first week or the second week, if the baby does not pass motions, or you find that the motions are much less reduced, then it could be an indirect sign that the baby is not all that well and the baby is not having enough milk, and that's why the baby is passing lesser number of motions than usual. But there are babies after a period of, say, the first initial 4 weeks or 6 weeks, they do not pass stools every day. They pass stools once in 4 days, even at times once in 5 to 6 days, or once in a week. That can be something which is absolutely normal, provided your baby is feeding well, the baby is passing adequate urine, the baby is not having any jaundice, the baby is otherwise an active baby, not fussy and not cranky. Of course, if the baby is not gaining weight, the baby has jaundice, or the baby is all the time crying, all the time irritable, then it is very important to take your baby to your doctor and get your baby checked up to make sure that the absence of passing of stools is not something which is a serious problem.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, then coming to mothers come up to us asking, like, should we give bath to the baby every day, or how frequently should we give bath to the baby?
Yeah. So that's something that we feel that yes, it's very essential that we give a bath every day to the baby. Otherwise, the baby will not feel fresh, or the baby will feel very tired. it's not all that important. This is something you can take a call based on the weather, based on which season is there. For example, if it's winter and it's very cold in your region, then we do tell the mothers to just apply oil massage and just wipe the baby with water. That is all that is required. As a newborn baby does not travel much or does not go out much, there is less chance of a baby actively becoming dirty. Yes, in case the baby spits up a lot, has a lot of vomiting, or passes a large amount of stools consistently, then you may need to give a baby bath every day. On the other hand, in the summer, if the baby sweats a lot, you may need to go ahead and give the bath every day. So again, based on the region where you stay, based on the weather condition, and also in case it's a very small baby, say it's a preterm baby or it's a baby whose weight is below 2.5 kg, then you do not need to give a bath at all to the baby till the baby's weight gain is good. In that case, the only thing required is an oil massage and wiping the baby every day.
Okay. Next is one question that we come across is that mothers ask the baby's breast area is swollen. Do we need to press it and express the milk out, or just we need to leave it that way?
Yeah. So commonly while giving a bath to the baby, a lot of mothers say that my baby's both the breasts are swollen and the baby is having milk. So olden days what they used to do is they used to squeeze the area and they used to extract the milk. And they used to say that if the milk gets collected, it will be dangerous for the baby or there will be other issues for the baby. Now that is not the case anymore. Breast enlargement or swelling of breast is considered to be absolutely normal in a baby. This is due to the effect of the maternal hormones. As the baby and the mother are none but one when the baby is inside the mother's uterus, there is a passage of the hormones from the mother to the baby, and this causes a benign, that is, it's something harmless, a breast enlargement for the baby. So this remains for around 7 days to 14 days, may persist for a month altogether also. In this case, we should not touch it or do anything or try to express any milk. So when we commonly do these things, say if our hands are not clean or we do it in an unsterile manner, we may actually cause trauma or damage to the breast structures in the baby. It can also transmit other dangerous infections to the baby's breast, and occasionally we do come across babies with swollen breast full of pus, and we have to actually do a simple procedure to extract it. So I would advise you that the breast swelling in a baby is normal in most of the cases. We do not need to do anything. We do not need to touch it or press it.
Thank you, ma'am. Generally, we advise to cover the baby. Like in the summer season, should we completely cover and wrap up the baby? Or generally, mothers ask how many layers of clothing should we cover the baby up with?
Okay. So in general, we tend to cover a baby completely in multiple layers of cloth. This again is based on the type of the baby, the age of the baby, the weight of the baby, whether the baby is a premature baby or the baby is a regular baby, and also the weather condition and the season of the place where you stay in. As a rule, preterm babies and low birth weight babies, that is babies which are below 2.5 kgs, need to be wrapped all the time. In these babies specifically, it's very important that the head is covered, the hands and the feet are covered. Generally, we try to maintain the temperature at a range which is adequate for the weight gain of the baby. And at home, we are always wondering how do we measure the temperature. A simple way is that we touch the baby's legs and then we touch the baby's stomach. Generally, both the legs and the stomach should be the same degree of warmth. If you find that the baby's legs are colder to touch as compared to the stomach, then you need to cover the babies more. On the other hand, if you find that your baby is having a fever or the temperature is more than 99.5, then we may need to remove the layers of clothes. So in case it is a hot, sweltering summer where you are sweating, you don't need to put the fan off just for the sake of the baby. You can put the fan on, and if you feel that your baby's legs are cold, cover the babies with extra layers of cloth. You can also use an air conditioner if necessary. You can keep the temperature approximately at a temperature of 26 degrees. And similarly, if you find that the baby's legs are very cold to touch, then you can cover the baby's legs and keep. There are also certain other non-specific rules. We generally say that the number of layers of cloth the mother wears, you can add 1 layer extra for a baby. So if the mother is wearing 2 layers of cloth, we can add 1 extra and make it 3 for the baby. Or if the mother is having 3 layers of cloth, then we can add 1 that is 4 for the baby. Also, generally in summer 2 layers of cloth are enough, and winter we require 3 layers of clothing for the baby.
Okay, ma'am. And do we need to expose the baby to the sun every day?
Yeah, so this is something, another very common misconception or myth, that we need to expose the baby to sunlight. It's good for the health of the baby, it's good for vitamin D. Yes, it's very, very essential to expose the baby to sunlight for vitamin D, and also not only for the sake of vitamin D, but also to improve the vision of the baby. But the original way which we used to do it, that is apply a lot of oil and then take the baby out in the sun, that is almost similar to getting the baby cooked or getting the baby burnt. It's very difficult to control the amount of heat generated by the sun. That's something which is not under our control. So when we apply a lot of oil and take the baby out in the sun, there is a good chance that the baby may burn. This is irrespective of the time of the day. We cannot say that the early morning sun has a less intensity of heat versus the sun at a later period of time. The best way to achieve a balance between getting the baby adequate sunlight and not burning the baby would be to keep the baby in a well-lit room. That is, make sure the windows are open, make sure the room receives adequate sunlight, and that is all that is essential for the good vision of the baby and for vitamin D of the baby. Over exposure to sunlight may result in accidental burning of the baby skin.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
The next thing that worries the mother is regarding the sleep pattern of the baby. They come up asking, like, my baby is not sleeping at a stretch, keeps waking up, and I've heard that sleep is very essential for brain development. So what do I need to do?
Yeah, this is something which we commonly worry about. Most of the mothers are that my baby is constantly feeding, he or she is not getting enough sleep. He barely sleeps for 5 minutes while feeding. Then the minute I place him down, he starts waking up and crying. He's not sleeping for 4 hours at a stretch. He's not sleeping for 6 hours at a stretch. I'm worried whether my baby will have any problems in the future. Actually, no. The sleep pattern of babies is very, very, very different from what we have. We have more longer, prolonged stretches of sleep as compared to a newborn baby who has a stretch of, say, 2 hours or 3 hours. Sometimes the maximum amount of continuous sleep in a stretch will be around 4 to 5 hours. So generally what happens is, while they are feeding, they tend to sleep off, and the minute we keep them down, they wake up and they cry. This is the normal pattern of the baby. And if you see cumulatively throughout the day, if you add up the number of small periods of stretch, say if the baby has slept for 5 minutes at feeding at the breast, then the baby has slept for another stretch of 1 hour or 2 hours. If you cumulatively add up all these stretches, you will notice that the baby has overall had a sleep of around 20 hours per day, and that is more than important for the baby. Now, this 20 hours per day need not be at one stretch or 2-3 stretches. It can be in multiple short bursts also, and that is also sufficient for the brain growth of the baby. Unlike us adults who have so many distractions, a baby does not have much distraction. Generally, there are very few activities of a baby. Either they wake up for feeding, or they wake up when they're going stool or urine. Apart from that, there's nothing causing a diversion or distraction or forcing them to not sleep. So there could also be times that certain days the baby sleeps less, but then the baby tends to compensate on other days. So as such, decreased sleep need not be a concern for the baby, as long as cumulatively the baby covers up its quota or its schedule. Of course, if the baby doesn't sleep at all, is very irritable, continuously crying, not feeding, the urine comes down, or you find that your baby is not well, running a fever, then it is very, very important that you get your baby checked up from your doctor.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for clearing out the misconceptions regarding this. And I hope this will be of great help to all the parents of the newborns hearing to this. And for any more queries, you can type in the comment section below. We will always be at your help.
Sure. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.